Okay, so I want to talk to you all about the reading response and discussion board assignments that are going to be due for each chapter. So the reading responses are a very big part of the class and of your total grade. And the discussion posts are also very important on interacting with your classmates and understanding the material. So I have created on your Blackboard page, here's the beginning, if you go to start working, I have created a reading responses and discussion board information folder. Now this information is also located here in your week 1 as we discussed in the welcome video, but it's also going to stay up here in this separate folder if you ever need to reference it again. So if you click on this, here is the reading response information. So this is going to cover exactly what those should be. So it's going to say that they are due each week by Friday, unless otherwise noted, as we put in the course calendar and the syllabus. No posts will be accepted past 12-hour grace period. For details on each week's chapter, check the schedule on the last page of the syllabus. Here's the information on reading responses. So you want to make sure your post is a reflection of the chapter, not a summary. So what that means is that you're not just writing like, Chapter 1 was about the early Renaissance, and here's exactly what was in the textbook, because we all can read that. What I am looking for is that you read Chapter 1, so you read the whole thing, and then you think about, okay, what were the most important parts to me, or the most interesting parts, or the most unique parts, or what did you have questions about, or what were you excited to read? Think about 3 topics from each chapter is what you want to pick out, about 3. And then you're going to go in and you're going to write a reading response, which is going to talk about those subjects. So you're going to write an introductory paragraph that is going to have a little attention getter at the front, and then it's going to have kind of what you are going to focus on within your writing. So you may say, the 3 most important things I found from this chapter was the philosophy or a specific piece of philosophy, this sculpture, and this military battle, right? So whatever you're picking, and then you're going to write about each of them. So you want to have like, okay, the first paragraph is going to be about that philosophy. So when you write about it, you want to include a direct quote from the textbook for each paragraph. So you may say, when so-and-so said blah, 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 page 203, and blah, 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 blah. And then you talk about kind of how that impacted you, what you thought about it. You think of outside examples that it made you think of or connect to. So you may think about a commercial you saw, or a television show, or a song, or a different kind of policy, or a political thing, or a different kind of philosophy, anything that you want to connect it to. What does it make you think of? What does it connect to? So you're putting that kind of stuff in there. You're giving a little bit of analysis, your opinion on it, or why you think it's wrong, or why you think it's right, or what you had questions about. Did it not make sense to you? And are you thinking it out right here in this paragraph? So you want to have 3 separate paragraphs of 3 separate topics. Each one should have a direct quote from the chapter to kind of support your ideas or what you're saying. Then at the end, you have a conclusion paragraph that sort of kind of wraps it up and goes back over what you did. I also highly encourage you to think of some discussion questions for your classmates, because that's what the reading responses are going to be. You respond to the chapter, what you thought was important, and then the discussion part is going to be you going and reading other classmates' responses and interacting with them. So that's the reading response, and that information, again, is located right here. So topics divided into paragraphs you found noteworthy. Each one should have 1 direct quote. It should not be its own sentence. It should be in quotation marks. It should have the page number listed, be no longer than 2 lines of text. So here's an example. The idea that meaning is co-created by both the speaker and listener, page 8, holds true because many conversations have been misconstrued because of a misunderstanding. Each paragraph should have a topic sentence that helps the reader know what to expect in the paragraph. Each reading response should have an introductory paragraph, like I said, 3 to 4 sentences. End your response with some discussion questions to prompt people to respond to you. You'll know it's a good one if a lot of people are responding to you. This is really important. Avoid using I in your posts And so don't say things like I think or I believe. They weaken your point. So instead of I think it's raining outside, say it's raining outside. The second sentence does not need to be questioned. So your grades each week will be based on how well you cover the material and show an understanding of it. See the reading response rubric for my grading guidelines on how to earn your grade. So if you go back to this, here is a reading response rubric. That's what I'm talking about here. This is how you get a grade on your response. So here you go. Thought-provoking. It goes above and beyond just answering the questions. It tries to motivate discussion and response and approaches the topic thoughtfully and uniquely. That's how you get a 10 or a 9, which is an A. It also is exemplary work above and beyond the call of duty. It is error-free, indicative of critical and creative thinking, draws unique conclusions. So that's how you get an A. So if you are looking to get an A on your reading response, 10 points or 9 points, it has to be error-free. You've got to do some spell check and do some grammar checking. It has to be what I just described a reading response to be. So you've got to have 3 direct quotations with citations. You've got to have intro paragraphs. You've got to have all of those things. Without the right format of an intro paragraph, paragraph, conclusion, discussion questions, there's no way you're getting a 10 or a 9. It just can't happen because you've got to have met all of the criteria in order to earn that grade. Then if you want to look at, if you're looking at what is substantial, a B or an 8 points is responds appropriately, thoroughly, and respectfully. They don't require a lot of further thought from the readers though. So you are above the average student. It's still error-free and shows attempt to interact thoughtfully with the material. So it may not be super exciting or intriguing, but it really does cover a lot of the things you have to cover. It covers all the things you have to cover, and you tried to be thoughtful and interact with the material. Superficial is completes the assignment, provides lack of obvious information or answers, lack of depth of reasoning and thought. That's a C. It's adequate and error-free, but not creative or especially thoughtful. So that's important to note too. Like, to get a C is just doing the bare minimum, but you've got to do all of those things that were the minimum. So the minimum is introductory paragraph, 3 paragraphs of topic sentences, 3 direct quotations from the book, discussion questions. All of those are, that's the bare minimum. So if you just do that, you will get 7 points or a C. And then after that, you have minimal effort, did not justify opinions, does not complete the whole assignment, subpar, little to no effort interacting. And then, of course, if you don't do those things, then that is going to be an F. So that's going to be the lowest grades, 5 down. So depending on kind of how it looks or what you do. So that is how you earn your grade and how to complete a reading response. And if you are still kind of having a little bit of questions about it, here's this link right here will show you a reading response example and tips. So it's going to kind of explain the text you're responding to, tell what you think about what you read. It's going to kind of go through thesis and topic sentences and some response questions and a sample essay. So all of those things are going to be in there. That's a reading response. And then that's one part of it. So that's a grade on its own, just a reading response. You can get 1 to 10 on the reading response. And then after you complete your reading response, then you move on to doing some discussion posts. So once you write it, you will need to respond to classmates' posts. So discussion should be at least 100 words apiece. You should respond to at least 3 of your classmates each week. In their thread, click reply. So you would go to where their reading response is. So when you create your own thread and you type your response and you submit it, then yours will be on there. And so remember to title it with your first and last name. Then you can look at the discussion post and you can see, okay, this person also has written their response. You click on theirs, you read it, and then you click reply, and then you type your response to them. So those responses need to be thoughtful. They need to not just be like, you're right, or you're wrong, or cool posts. Like, it needs to be 100 words, and it needs to be you thinking out a legitimate response. So if they posted discussion questions, you might want to answer those. If they didn't, but you found a spot that you really think is interesting, you want to respond to them about that, then great. And they should be structured. You should say, so-and-so with their first name, comma, and then type what you want to say to them. And then you want to make sure to check back throughout the week and see, okay, did they respond back to me? Did they ask me a question? You want to look at your own post. So if your own post, someone responds to you or asks you a question or has something to say to interact with you, you need to respond back to them. So it's not just like I'm posting it and now I'm done with it. You post it and then you see if there's a discussion. So what this does is like an in-class class, when we're sitting there and we're talking about something, we're all responding to each other. This is our efforts to do that online. So you need to be completely interacting with everyone all the time there. So that is how to do a reading response and a discussion post. And the discussion post is a separate grade. So you will have to have at least 3 and then moderate your own thread to earn points for your discussion. If you only respond to one person, you will receive no points for that week. So make sure that you're getting in there and interacting with each other. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to email me. Thank you.